I know, right? Me too. I have the same problem. I'm gonna be on it all the time. But
The what?
I don't know.
Okay, start us off. Do you want to start us off?
I
I
can't.
don't even have any paper to like, just two of us.
Oh,
That's in my paper.
I think if you don't show, you just don't get a vote.
I know. True. True that.
Well, we did tell everybody if they
Our
couldn't make it to
votes,
send
our
their dots.
votes should count. Give me a different color, because our votes should count times 5.
Put smiley faces on all
1,
this.
2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. Times 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, times 6. One vote should be 6.
If you put smiley faces on it, that would probably, that's great.
I'm laughing and saying it jokingly, but I really actually mean it.
I missed it.
So am I running this meeting too?
So you do you get dots by proxy? I don't know how that works out.
I think we could,
Call the work session to order.
yeah, it's just a work session, so
Yeah.
however you guys want to do this, I'm not familiar with your process.
So what has happened in the past is the mayor's not here and the mayor pro tem is not here. I'll just run the meeting and go get us through that, so. I don't have the thing, but knock, knock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Dustin, if you can do roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg, Trustee Zazzaro, Trustee Hartz, Trustee Katzos,
Here.
Trustee Moreland,
Here.
Trustee McLaurin, and Mayor Ah.
If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And do we have any public input?
That's you.
I can't see you, so. All right, let's go with revisit 2025 goals, 2025 goals adopted with 2025 budget. I'm assuming that's you, John.
Thank you, Madam Trustee, and both trustees. So as you see around you, what we've done is we've taken the comprehensive plan, we've taken the budget workshop goals that were made in 2024, and we also took the 2025, I believe it was either late January or early February, you had a SWOT analysis as well as some priorities listed for that earlier in the year. So we took all 3 of those, we consolidated some of them which were the same, and we put them up on the wall all around you. These are the priorities that were listed. And this takes into account all of them that have not been done yet. So for instance, on some of these, which was create an ag zone, you obviously have done that. You have made progress over the last couple of years on several different items that were on there. So we tried to knock off the ones that have already been taken care of, but we wanted to make sure that the rest of them were put up there despite their rank. So they could have been ranked high, they could have been ranked low. What we don't do is we don't assume that your rank is the same. We want you to re-rank them, and if you feel as strongly as you did about the ones that you ranked last time or the time before, this gives you the opportunity to put one or as many stickers as you want on your most important one, and then go through and find the rest of them that you feel are important as well. Now, one of the things that I'd like to ask you to do is to look around the room, and if you see things that you don't believe still are priorities for you or any of your colleagues, then maybe we can take those down. But more importantly, if you see some that look like they need to be consolidated together, like they're kind of the same thing, we can place those together, and that then allows for the priorities, if it's close enough, that we could consider it as a single topic, and that might raise a little bit on the priority list if they're intuitively something that could be grouped together with something else. So that would be the first thing I'd ask you to do, is to take a look at all of those. Take your time. This is informal. You can walk around and look at all of those items that are on the wall. If something does not make sense or we need explanation, we do have the goals here. I know that Dustin also sent those out, the comprehensive plan and those things. So if you have any questions, certainly let us know. But otherwise, give you maybe 5 minutes to look around the room, and if you see something that needs to be moved around or that makes sense with something else, we can do that right now and group them together.
So I think the established web page and town website should be consolidated.
Okay.
Because you can just leave it as one as ADA accessibility and registering businesses in one.
Okay, so this one here. Oh my God, who did that?
Did Jeremy need scissors?
Got a whole roll of tape up here. This isn't
What do
coming
you
off.
think about emphasizing our rural nature?
Where's the, I'll help you, I come up.
ADA.
Right, okay, Cassie there.
Public input? I think that
There we
is
go, right there.
community communication.
Okay.
Yes,
It's kind of the one of the same.
right. I would agree with that. I'm having a
speak
hard
up for
time
yourself.
reading the
That's
red from here.
Okay.
That's also like.
That's part of the, but that's also part of the east intersection, right? So,
Okay,
so that should be,
We have a couple others. So collaborate with the
I
school
told
district on
everybody
East
he
Oak
said,
Street as
or
part of the East
trustees, whatever.
intersection project.
yep,
Okay, so that is.
The collaborate.
right.
Ooh, almost there, right there.
Pretty cool.
No,
Oh, and then you have to emphasize agri-fruits
yep,
can go with the emphasizing.
right, exactly.
Expanding public input. Okay, so then we have three that are gonna go together. You have the two in the middle that say expanding public input, emphasizing our rural nature. And then the one right over by you, Jeremy, to your left, right, nope, next one over.
Yeah,
Those three, yeah.
yep,
Okay.
And the one Jeremy's got. It can all be listed under like, community communication.
simplify, what is that? What's the one on the very end, the corner? Simplify what? Simplify?
Simplify and reduce costs for developers, that was from your.
Okay,
The goals,
So
2025.
that one and the make town government more user-friendly are kind of under the same thing because that
yes.
simplifying and reducing
right.
costs makes the town government more user-friendly.
And,
I think what they were referring to in this was I think this was maybe more web-based, so that they could actually do their dog tags online and their business.
If that's web-based, then it needs to go with the town website and
Yep.
established webpage.
yeah,
We had to paraphrase some of these because they were about a mile long.
And-
That's okay.
and isn't it true, Jeremy, that we already have like a 10-year revolving and renewing street maintenance program? I mean, isn't that already in place that we do that? We assess what we want to accomplish in 10 years and then we renew that because we have to kind of start over again?
Street rotation. kind of
Yeah.
thing.
All of our streets are evaluated annually once we do any type of maintenance or upkeep. One way we do it is through the HUTF reports, the Highway User Tax Funds. So that tracks it, and as well on the Esri software for GIS. We have a layer on there that's tracking actual road condition and maintenance activities.
So the adequate maintenance maintains town streets, that's already in
already
place, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so,
we
I
have
mean,
a-
it's a priority, but we expect that it's in that rotation of evaluation and
I
updating.
So we
wouldn't
are
put it
currently
in a
rating-
goal when it's already being done.
Right. That-
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do
So-
you feel that way, Jeremy? I mean, what's, from
Yeah.
your perspective as a department head for
We're
that?
currently monitoring. What
Yeah.
I didn't really understand is, I mean, like throughout the year, is that like snow removal activities or,
That's where this has been
like-
truncated. It included replacement, repair, snow removal.
Yeah.
Adequate funding, and I think it was
But-
more of a priority that the way that that reads, it sounds like it's more of a priority that be kept as a top priority for the community. is
So-
keeping the streets.
So here's the thing, the streets are already being maintained. They're in, on every level of what you talked about, they're being maintained, and Jeremy has come up with, in the last couple years, a rotation schedule. He's got this great way of how he goes about doing it all. What I think this should be more is communicate to the public this piece.
Yeah, I was
and
going to
put it
say on the
under one to
website.
the left,
Yeah, it should be on the website, what are,
or expanding public input.
Right,
Emphasizing rural nature,
absolutely.
Emphasizing, that one right next to it, to the left, is like community communication.
But if roads are a really big deal for the citizens of
I
our
would put that
community.
under the, John, the one that's right to the left of where it was.
Yeah, you-
Yeah.
Communicate.
Yeah, so the ones that says expanding public input and emphasizing our rural nature, this to me is community, public input that.
And
that
communication. Yeah.
Community communication, I guess you
Right.
could say.
And in your 2025 goals, it does say to better inform the board and community.
Exactly.
Requires communicating and enforcement of snow routes. So
Right.
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
you just said.
And I kind of had a feeling that's what it was.
And
just
that's
from
kind of
memory.
also like a website/website thing, because I feel like we should have a schedule that people can look at. If they're wondering when their road's gonna be
My,
chipped and sealed next or
my only
something.
thing is that that's only one avenue of communication is the website. And these
Yeah.
are specific website projects, whereas
Mhm.
this can be communication on more levels. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
It's an internet thing that you could put on the internet.
Right.
But I think it's also social media. It's also
Mhm.
talking about it in public. Yeah.
a lot of crossover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But I think those, I think it's okay to leave it, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And as Manager Waters spoke to earlier too, some of these are, of course, still have a long way to go, but some progress has been made. There is a stormwater fund. There is an ADA compliance tool on the website, so some of those have been checked off. Is there a ways to go? Sure, but some of them are in progress too.
Exactly. And just because we have a goal doesn't mean that you let go of the ones you're in the middle of a project on. It's just, yeah. Love that. Thank you.
I'm having a really
Marie?
hard time reading the red writing from
That's
here.
why,
Oh.
figured
So
you
that
guys would
was
probably could get up and walk around.
Encourage
so.
tourism that focuses on Bayfield's natural recreation, cultural, and historical resources. And I think that one goes, where is Parks and Rec?
It's over there.
Oh, it's down low?
Yeah,
Plan infrastructure.
park plan infrastructure.
Yeah, it goes with park plan infrastructure.
Over there.
To your,
Chairman.
And so does create education. That would go over there with also the,
create educational, recreational,
yeah.
and food support, yeah.
You want this way?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, that same.
Same with the
just on
park,
bottom of it.
park plan.
Yeah,
There you go.
What are the ones, I can't see the ones that are down low.
yeah, those two over there in the
Senior
corner.
Center Capital Improvement.
Yeah, senior center and town hall capital improvements, and this one is smart growth addressing urban sprawl and infrastructure.
Isn't there, what is that simplify on the back door? Simplify and what?
And reduce costs for developers?
Oh, okay. So that would go with smart growth, right? Don't you feel like?
I think smart growth, revitalization, and expand and recruit economic opportunities for Bayfield all have to do with the economy and making sure that our economy is,
How we are,
well
we are,
designed,
yeah, how we're encouraging growth
Yeah.
and maintaining and that sort of thing,
So
okay.
smart growth goes with revitalization, economic development of
Yep, of Mill
Mill
Street,
Street.
yeah. It's not Mill Street specific, but it's under revitalization
Right.
and economic development. So Mill Street plus that,
Right. And then expand and recruit economic opportunities.
yeah, that should go over there too.
I think the Mill Street one helps us focus on maybe Main Street monies.
Yes,
So
yeah,
It
That's why
does.
I think that was in there, because I think you guys had originally tried to get some Main Street monies and you
Well, we
got
were
kind of
working on
hard
the,
done.
we were working on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And then we had also been working on Wayfair signage
Excellent.
prior to that. So there was a couple things that we were trying to do that involved Mill Street, which is our main street. But I think expanding it too as well, the revitalization is okay over in this part, but the economic development should be of all of
Of all of Bayfield.
Bayfield.
Yes, okay, understood.
so, what is your thought about the, retain, staffing and recruit and retain staffing? That should be an ongoing thing as there is turnover or whatnot, that doesn't change. But do we
I
need
feel
to?
like we're there.
Yeah,
Because what happened is we didn't have two main players, which was your position, John, and development.
Well, and
director
I think it
position.
has to make sense. So like as the,
And our police force, we didn't have as much police force.
right, but as the town grows, you have to look at how we're able to support the needs of the citizens. And do we have enough staffing to do that? Like
Correct.
police officers
That's
or
an
park
ongoing, like,
and rec.
forever
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I mean, that should be in the forefront of a town manager's, you know,
Right.
right. I mean, it should.
Two halves.
What's that?
We're talking about code enforcement officer, when you were talking about additional staff needs.
Yes.
It's a work in progress. I think you still have some needs that have been identified in the
Yes.
past and that
Which-
staff have identified, so.
Goes along with what we were saying. So we've recruited and we've gotten a much stronger staff than when we originally did that. But we still need to retain and maybe recruit more. And as the town grows, we have to add additional staff. So like what Trustee Katsos was saying is that it's an ongoing thing. It should never not be on the list of goals of what we're trying to do on the daily. But to me, it's more of a, that's your job as the manager, is to make sure that you're retaining and getting us acclimated.
And in this budget season, the department heads are going to request, if they feel that they have holes to plug, that they're going to request that. And that is something that will
Correct.
come through every budget cycle where you say, do we have the money to bring in another
Correct.
police officer, or code enforcer, or whatever, so.
And just a thought in my brain that came across is that maybe when we're doing the budget, that we could have a little tally next to any line items that the directors feel is to retain staff, that they put something over there like retain staff or something that tells the trustees that the reason they want to keep this line item is because they're trying to retain staff.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, we have to look at, are there certain things that we need to cut? As we know, budgeting's really hard, and there's not a lot of money from the state. The state's really, done some things, and, who knows how much money's gonna be out there for us to do stuff with. And so, the way I'm looking at the budget season is that it's gonna be, we need to like tighten our belts as much as we can, but we also don't want to lose staff, so we want to keep retaining them. And so I think it's important that we know what the intentions of the directors are in their budgeting of what they feel is like, this will help us to retain the staff that we have.
You're gonna have their requests as far as what they've requested and then what I'm
Correct.
recommending. And, what I'm recommending is based on what I think the pan size is gonna be. And so I'm gonna try to fit a pie in there. And there may be opportunities to where, well, why don't we take this and move this in here and take this out here? I mean, you're gonna have to rob Peter to pay Paul at that point.
Right.
But that's the prerogative of the Board of Trustees.
Correct.
So, definitely each of the directors will be available to answer those questions that the entire board has of why is this necessary? Why do you think you need more? That is definitely something that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how it works with the goals and whether we keep it up there or.
Well,
put it
and I
down,
feel
or
like
were
the
you saying
water,
to pull it
the
down?
water wise and the fire mitigation should go hand in hand, don't you think?
Oh, definitely.
Yes, so we can move water wise with fire mitigation. They go, yeah,
Now, fire mitigation is also going to include that new state statute that got put in place on development, so it's a little
Right.
different.
Well, I think that one was specific to Piney Park, and we were trying to make sure that which, didn't that happen a lot? Didn't you guys already do a lot of, didn't
Fire
they
mit-
do, not you, but didn't the fire department, or was that a
No,
different
we were-
area?
We were waiting for them to get a grant.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
yep.
and they never got the grant? Maybe we should revisit.
I do have the grant for them to do the trail work, which will be some
Okay,
fire mitigation, not a
Right.
lot, but.
yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of holding on the fire department to do that, because they brought it up for 2 years in a row, and they didn't get their grant, so.
Got it.
not surprised
It's definitely
in
still
this
something
grant
that
world.
we can look in and try to take control of ourselves, but there's a lot of acreage back there and a lot of, but the trail work, there will be some mitigation all
Okay.
along the trail, and there's gonna be a lot of deadfall and stuff to be removed, so there will be some mitigation, but not the whole entire
Not the whole,
Get
thing.
the whole town together to do some mitigation.
right. What is the one tucked in the corner that I can't read?
Work with nonprofits.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I think that goes through a budget cycle.
Well, and we have funds from Moravan, Mr. Moravan.
Oh, that's right,
So
yeah.
I feel like that's already taken care of, like, you know, on the level, does he not, you're saying, no, he's not?
He's on vacation, he'll be back, and we got a meeting October 21st to discuss his intentions.
Well,
Okay.
I spoke to him at the retreat for the La Plata Economic Development Alliance, and he was saying, yeah, he was gonna give us funds.
He is.
So,
It's, he wants to meet with myself, town manager, and mayor to make sure that we're all on the same page about how he wants things dispersed.
On his page, which we should be on his page.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm on his page.
It's his money.
We, however he wants them dispersed, we're good. Like,
No, I already
that's
know what he
fine.
wants done and everything like that. I've been working with Dustin to get everything ready to go. I'm just waiting for him to get back from vacation to meet with us to,
So we, as a board, don't really need to be involved in that at all. So I think the work with nonprofits can go away.
I think the other thing.
And there's no
that-
stickers from anybody else in the
Town attorney, Town Attorney Goldman suggested at one time we actually come up with a uniform way to handle those grants, because the last round was kind of sticky
Yeah.
with the housing stuff. So what that looks like is kind of up to you all, if we bring them in front of the board to see their request a grant out of that more event fund, things of
Well,
that
I think,
nature.
I think it's important to know what Mr. Moravan wants with his
Mhm.
first, and
Yeah.
then we follow what he wants and
Yeah.
just create a policy
Out of that.
according to that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's probably the best way. I mean, it's his
Mhm.
money and he wants to give it out.
Yeah.
One of the things, trustees, that has been brought to my attention, and as of October 1st is when I've given them the deadline to submit, but you do have some NGOs, non-governmental organizations, that provide services perhaps
That
for
we
some
do
of those
yearly.
here.
Mhm.
And so those are kind of in there too. They're 501c6s in many cases. And so what they do, 501c3s and c6s, is they may provide transportation or some mental health services or something like that. So I believe I currently have 3, but there
So-
have been as many as 8 at one time.
Right, so the ones that we're currently doing this year, those were agreed upon to continue year over year.
Okay.
Now, if they come at us and ask for higher dollar amounts or, you know, that sort of thing, then that would be brought to the board. But we had agreed that those were separated from like your local 501c3 nonprofit organizations.
I didn't know
Because it just makes it easier. I'm like, are we not gonna give money to transportation? They'll stop the road runner out here if we do that. We gotta kinda give some funds to them. So they were organizations that helped with those kinds of things that we really couldn't stop. I think another one was, wasn't it the youth, one of your youth
La
programs?
Plata Youth Services.
Was that one of them as
We
well?
had a contract with them.
Right.
We no longer have that contract.
And that's
Right,
different,
but that
that's an
was- I think
IGA,
that
right?
was- I think that was one of them that was included under that.
But I don't think that was a
No,
donation,
it
that
was-
was an IGA.
It was
That
like
an
Region
intergovernment agreement.
9 RHA,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
The Homes Fund, the people that manage the grant restricted, deed restricted.
And now I'm assuming that you still want to hear a presentation from each of these entities.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
From
that
when they-
doesn't, that piece doesn't go away because we have to confirm that we're gonna do that, but I just wanted to explain that they were separated out
Yes.
from, like, we had like 10 grand that we would give out to nonprofit 501c3s, like, you know, the
I
Pine
saw
River
those in the budget.
Shares
The
and,
football
you know, football team or, you know, those sort of things, and we've done monies for that. And I think that this year, because of budgeting issues, we probably won't do it, but we have Mr. Moravan's funds, and I think that that could be a replacement for that 10 grand that we're doing, and then we can allocate the 10 grand to something else. We don't, I mean, I love that we help our nonprofits, but we really don't have the funds to
This year's tight.
do it this year, I don't think.
So are those the consolidations that you have? I think since we already have a dot, one of your colleagues felt that that was important that we maintain. I think you still need to recruit and retain adequate staffing up there, since that's a continual process.
Right.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that needs to be consolidated, or is it time for you to put your votes down? Do you see anything else that's not on there? That's maybe another thing that Is there something that is obviously missing that maybe wasn't addressed in the comprehensive plan? That's certainly something we want to make sure we include if there's something else out there.
Well, I know in all of like the growth that we have planned that's coming along, I don't think that we have come up with a plan of how we grow staff at the same time and what that plan would look like. I know that there are certain parameters that the government expects you to have X amount of employees or do this sort of thing if you have this many people in your community. And that piece I don't think has ever really been looked at or thought about, or a plan put in place of when that would happen. We hit, X amount of rooftops, we need to add some police to it, we need an extra employee to do billing, or, those kind of things. I don't think we've ever kind of like set down and put a plan out for that. And I think we're getting close, because if we're able to get that east intersection project up and running, that opens up the north side of 160 of the 500 and some odd units that a developer wants to develop.
Now remember, some of that's subjective because it's different by town. And so a lot of that is dependent upon your folks that you've got here. I mean, that's.
Which is why when I'm pointing at them and having a plan of what does that look like for you and your departments, and, and that way we're prepared that we don't get into, mid-year and we're like the county and we don't have any money for our employees, kind of a thing.
To do about it. We're not gonna end up looking
Right.
like that one.
I'm not thinking that, but I like to be, I like us to have a better plan when it comes to staffing with the growth that we have that's coming, because we've had a lot of growth, and I don't think we've added any employee. Marie, your position wasn't there before, and the community director. I think those two positions were the only ones really that have been added in the last 8 years that I've been here. But we've gotten bigger,
A little bit.
so.
You're gonna continue to grow.
What's that?
You're gonna continue to grow.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on how your growth occurs, because
Yeah.
certain types of growth require other types of people. So it's.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of fluid, and we really depend upon our professionals that we've got in each one of the fields to indicate, to me, when there, when there's a need. I mean, the code enforcement / police officer is one that's already been identified as very needed, and I would agree with that.
Yeah, we tried to add that position 4 years ago, I think we added it, and then COVID hit, and yeah, that was a hot mess.
It's still needed.
Yeah, it was
Just in
needed then.
my opinion,
Yeah.
it is, but.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, we definitely need code enforcement, from noxious weeds to the way people park.
Check cars and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to ask our department heads, in looking at what we've discussed as a board 2 years in a row now, is there anything that you believe is missing that we're blindsided to, not seeing? And how do you feel about sort of what we've got lined up at this time? Some of these are major projects, and it's all going to depend on the funding that we have available. But is there anything that you are in knowledge of that we are not in knowledge of, where you're like, boy, they're not seeing this one thing at all, or it's in their blinders or something?
Are we missing anything?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
When it comes to my department, a year and a half ago, I eliminated a position to develop a competitive pay scale so that my employees were not being poached by surrounding agencies. So I went down one so I could keep the 7 or 8 I have. And under FBI statute, our studies, is that a town needs 2.1 law enforcement personnel per 1,000. And right now, we are right at 3,000 that live in town. But I think during the day, we're at 5,000 with all the businesses, people coming in and out of town. We have a lot of traffic and everything like that. And so we're really kind of shorthanded already. And it takes me almost a year from the date of hire to get that officer through the academy, through training, and on the road by themselves. And I have serious officer safety issues after 6 at night. I need to start running 2 at night, all night, in order for those 2 officers to feel safe. I don't want to rely on the county having deputies drift over to help us. We need to do this ourselves because our town is growing at that pace, and we are getting the types of calls now. You can see the types of calls I put in my monthlies, but like my detective, she still works the streets, but she's in the office almost the entire week because of all the caseload she has. I really need to move her into just an office hour and get another person on the street. The town has changed. I don't know if it's because I came here, but the thing is that the way we're doing business now and the way we are transparent with everything, all my officers see everything that's going on, and I see what's going on with them. And we are, just today, in fact, I had an SRO on, I had a day shift on, I had a sergeant on, I had me on, and then the night guy came on, and we were all 5 on calls at one time. Because we had a major accident in Gem Village, we had to go assist with. We had a burglary in progress where everybody else had to go to. So I mean, you may think we're just sitting around town, we're not. We're always doing something.
Yeah.
And the manpower, I'm more fearful of officer safety than I am of anything else.
He doesn't have the luxury of, like, Ignacio had SUPD 10 minutes away. Durango's got, the SO right there, but his is 30, 45 minutes out.
And if they're on the opposite side of the county,
Yeah.
good luck. You're gonna have nobody show.
And when they had the major incident a couple weeks ago in Durango, let's say the shooting at KP Pond, I take over from 225 to Yellow Jacket to help them. And we have to handle because they don't have enough manpower to come out here. So we're helping with accidents out by Yellow Jacket. We're sometimes in Archuleta County helping because they don't have anybody. It's just one of those things is that we have to back each other up and help each other. We just don't have enough law enforcement personnel in the whole entire area. But again, if I was gonna make the biggest push for me is officer safety, I need to get people to have partners on.
Anything else?
For me, I think we cut it last year, but didn't we have a designated equipment vehicle fund? Didn't we take that out last year?
What, the vehicle replacement fund?
Right.
Yeah, that.
I don't because to kind of go off with what Brenna's saying is, as we grow, we gotta have more staff. But as we grow, we gotta have more equipment and vehicles, especially, if we build additional fields and more park space and our equipment's aging, which I put that into my budget every year and I have to, give a reason why I need to replace that stuff. But I really couldn't understand why we took that out because that is an ongoing, just like staff, you always need a new piece of equipment or a vehicle, so I kind of like that.
Well, I think you guys kind of had a little bit less control over your budget or input over your budget.
We did.
I would say, and so I think that, I don't think John is kind of the same way. I think he's a little more, he just functions a little bit differently. So I would just recommend that those kind of things like you add in there. I think Trustee Katz's comment has more to do with of the goals in the town that you see, like for your department in Parks and Rec, and we have park plan infrastructure and all this other stuff. Is there anything in that piece of a goal that you want the trustees to do or add as part of the goals that you can think of?
My input is just from being here for a couple of years now, the recruit and retain adequate staffing, it could definitely be added to succession planning. We've had 2 people in this room that have a lot of institutional knowledge, and then after that,
And
there's a
if you lost them,
huge
we'd be in
drop off. Yeah. So I think
They never get to retire,
exactly.
so don't even think about it.
Yeah. So I think that's something that needs
I
to
agree.
be looked at.
Thank
And
you.
A lot
Yeah.
of us are coming in and absorbing as fast as we can.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something I see coming into this. And it's like, whoa, there's a big drop off after a certain amount of people. And then even another, the mid-tier kind of where I am in institutional knowledge, there's another drop off too as well. But
But yeah,
But it's up there.
That's a Marie goal.
So,
Marie goal.
as a thought that I was having also is when I went back through all the goals of the comprehensive plan, we don't have a watershed study that we've done, correct?
There's not a watershed study, there's the floodplain mapping, and that was one of the things that I was gonna bring up. So on this level of discussion that we have here, I
Yes.
think one thing that would be beneficial for the town of Bayfield is to try and renegotiate our storage water agreement that we have with the grid.
Okay.
That's something that we should put some time and effort into, because, we come back, we did the drought management, we have the 90 acre feet with the 30 firm and the 60 standby. When we were really looking at that, if we were to go on call in May and actually have to be on storage water all the way throughout, you're looking at, 300 to 500 acre feet potentially of storage water. So I think with some of the Schroeder water shares that we have, we should be working with our water engineer and see if there's a possibility to kind of shore up that water. I mean, the water won't be unavailable, it'll just cost us more.
Right.
So that's where those operations come into effect, where we have in the drought management plan. But I think that's something that we could look at and see if we couldn't get something that's a little bit more, long-term. We do have growth coming in and things like that.
Right.
A lot of the other stuff that's in here is mostly just operational.
Yeah.
We're redoing the master plan this year, so that'll be coming before you guys. You're gonna see some additional storage tanks proposed in there, rooftop per capita, some stuff like that. And our pump station at the river is getting antiquated. It's starting to show its age. So we're running into capacity issues there. But those are the two big projects. A 1 million gallon storage tank is gonna be expensive. Retrofitting the pump station. But those will all be identified in the master plan. But really, that long-term storage water agreement is something I think that I haven't seen up here, and that's something we might want to keep.
I actually think, and that was in my blind side, and I think that that's really an important point. So I'd like that included for sure.
So, if I can interrupt for just a second.
Yeah.
Along with that, though, I think we need to consider a lot of alternatives for acquisition of additional water, however that occurs. New people coming in, if they can help us acquire new water rights, a new well perhaps, so that we don't depend on one conveyance system to bring the water in, just to try to think outside of the box to grow our water resources. And that kind of goes along with the smart growth. As you grow, you make sure you've got the resources and the infrastructure to grow.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of what Jeremy's talking about, not just with the water plant, you got your wastewater facility, you've got, your drainage system, all of that kind of goes in together, that as you grow, you need to make sure that you plan adequately for that growth, those additional people coming in. So along with that, I would say perhaps examine all available water resources that the town can acquire.
Well, and I don't want development to get ahead of our water resources. I want our water resources to dictate our decisions about ongoing development. So,
Right now, we're
yeah.
in a good spot. So we do have the water to promote growth, but we're gonna need to keep that in mind, as water was said earlier. We're not getting the development to pay for its way with the resources as far as for acquiring those additional water rights. That's something we need to keep in mind.
And one other thing that probably that, I'm going to be looking at, that's a goal, is we need to consolidate the town. We're like a piece of Swiss cheese. That's just the best way to describe that. Code enforcement's an issue.
Yeah.
Water provision and sewer provision is an issue. We've got people that are completely surrounded by the town. They're actually on some of our services. One of them wanted a certificate of occupancy that we didn't provide. They had moved in a trailer, and we didn't have anything to do with that, but they wanted us to give it's creating a lot of problems there. But then we have another problem that has popped up. We have some of our accounts, our sewer accounts, that are out of our corporate limits, that are basically slipping into arrears, and we have no way to enforce that other than filing a lien on it. So just think of it this way from the standpoint of your attorney. You have a whole neighborhood that decides they're not going to pay sewer anymore. You may collect that in 20 years when they sell their home, but we're not going to be able to just, the state's not going to let us go out there and just shut it off and let the sewer run out on the ground. So we need to seriously reevaluate how we provide services out to those other areas that are not within the city limits, and either annex them, or if they're too far out, we need to come up with a much better agreement that's stronger, that allows for us to enforce not just the payment of these accounts, but also you've got an added environmental problem that you probably haven't been told about yet, but I've had to deal with it in the past, is when somebody drives out of your system, they find a manhole, they pop it open, and they dump something in your system. There is no way the county is going to enforce any regulations on that, but who's the one that gets fined by Colorado and the EPA? It will be us. And so that's something that we need to address, both from an enforcement of our NPDES permit that we have with the plant, as well as collecting the revenue that we need to collect, because those people aren't paying their fair share, and there's no way we're going to collect that until who knows when they're going to sell their houses. And we've got more than one now. I mean, there are several that are out there that I guess we've got liens on. We probably need to step back and take a look at that, discuss annexations of some of these areas that make sense. And definitely some of the areas that are enclosed within the city already. It's really, really hard to do code enforcement when you've got a neighbor here that's complying with all the rules and they're taking care of it, and then you've got a neighbor over here that has Sanford and Sons next door, and then you've got and they're out of the city limits, but everywhere around them they're in the city limits. It creates a lot of difficulty with the neighbors. A lot of the people in town don't understand that these people have kind of just been surrounded, and some of them in the old days didn't want to be annexed, but I think there may be some opportunities now with our sewer system and some of the other problems that we've got to where we can perhaps try to get them incorporated into the town.
Well,
It doesn't make sense.
this is new information to me. I'd like to have some sort of inventory of where this is, like what all these different areas of, challenge are, especially if they're not paying bills. So I'd like to be informed about that a little bit more. I hear what you're saying. I really understand it, but I'd also like to understand where this is, like how reasonable is that?
We'll put together a list of those
Okay.
that are challenges
Yeah,
and where we are. I think a lot of folks don't know where some of those systems stretch out to, and we do provide far out of town. Gem Village is one of those areas,
Yeah.
and it's one of those areas that I know Dustin's dealing with.
Generally, prior to COVID, the board was brought aware of those sewer accounts in November. We would pass a the board would be asked to pass a resolution, and we would put a tax levy on those properties, and we collect that out of their tax payments.
Got it.
So, and when COVID hit, the town manager at that time chose not to put on those levies and never reinstated that.
Okay.
So we have properties that haven't paid in several years.
Oh, wow.
Since COVID.
Wow.
And these properties are primarily in the homestead,
Okay.
because we do not provide water there, we have no recourse, and the others are in Gem Village.
Okay.
And so all of those were on the sanitation district when we took over. But that's
So
where
is
they're
it, do
at.
you think that that is because the town elected to not follow up with it?
Yep.
And you've got this ongoing, is there a way to sort of set the new clock that says,
Well, they should be getting a delinquent notice every month.
Okay.
That delinquent notice tells them that, payment is lack of payment is going to result in a tax levy. We can only do that once a year. We
Okay.
can only do it in November when the assessor does the tax roll. And so we can move forward and implement that again this year. And generally, in the past, that has cleared, they clear them up
great.
temporarily.
Yes, yeah.
Because we collect it out of their tax rolls, and then they just don't do it again until we do it
Right.
again.
Yes.
Again. But.
Well, in an ever tightening, tiny little flow of cash that we're going to have, it all matters, I think. So I think that's good. Okay.
Well, and
I think
that
that's
still-
important.
That still doesn't alleviate the environmental problems.
Oh, no,
and the,
not at all.
You know, the seven-figure fines that the EPA
Right.
can levy if you pollute into the river. And so, and I know they do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been receiving of one of those letters, and they're not pleasant.
Yeah.
But you have to have authority over your NPDES permit everywhere in your system.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is something that does concern me, and we need to find a mechanism. Some places it may make sense to just annex them. Some places it may
Mm-hmm.
make sense to do other things. I think if we have to continually go back to the assessor's office and ask for a tax assessment, that's a lot of work on our folks'
Sure.
part. It's a lot of work on the assessor's part. It's a lot easier to just shut the water off, because that gets instant payment sometimes. When people instantly, they've got soap in their hair and they're washing their hair, and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have that ability right
Yeah.
now. And I think if we brought those folks, at least the ones that make sense, into the city limits, the town limits, I think then we would have that authority, because then they would convert over to our system, and
Yeah.
we would have the ability then to control that really quick. We would get that funding back really quick. That's
And only
generally
that,
what we do with the rest of the
we
accounts in
get
town.
The taxes from them too.
Mm-hmm.
They're part of the town. So
Yes.
And they do get a letter every month, because I have to run it actually separate, because I'll run the delinquent letters for water, and then you run it separate for sewer, which is where these accounts pop up. So they get them every month.
Well, I'm sure paying customers would not appreciate knowing that they're non-paying customers, and in a way, they're kind of getting away with it if we're not acting on it. So I think it's important that we continue and pick that back up.
Every month when I tell you that the penalty charge is so high, and that's a result of a lot of because they're paying, they owe $2,000 or $3,000 and $4,000, and that's a big penalty that they're acquiring every month.
Right,
I think we
right.
need to nip that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yep. So thank you for sharing that.
I didn't know it wasn't put back in.
And I
Yeah.
think the greater, the 20,000-foot view
Yes.
problem is, we need to address obvious annexations that need to occur.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them aren't going to be pleasant. Some folks don't want to be annexed, but
Right.
we surrounded them 20 years ago. It's creating problems for our infrastructure. They expect to have sewer. They expect to have these things
Mm-hmm.
we're providing. We, as citizens, are paying for in our own bills, and in many cases, they are not. So, the maintenance of the line that occurs if you've got a water service that is on the agreement with the county.
Right.
What we call that PRID, right?
Mhm.
So we've got a PRID water in the middle of the town. They're obviously their bills go to those folks, and then we've got sewer coming to us. It's not like we're going to go out and shut the water off in that one little area that's been cut off.
Right.
Not only that, but we don't have the ability to add additional fees on unless we do that with PRID itself.
Well, I definitely want to plan to address it. So I think that's important.
And
So,
those people we talk to, PRID, or we talk to the county, if they're not annexed in, about the issues with their bills, and
We may need to negotiate another
Yeah.
agreement.
negotiate
Yeah.
an agreement with them or something.
so I want to get back to kind of our priority list too, and then the budget. So how, John, do you see, once we've put our dots up, how do you see this going, this process?
Okay, so after you prioritize the issues all around us, they're going to be consolidated into a report based on the activities of the Board of Trustees. And that will be used then to prioritize the budget for those items that are applicable to each one of these items that have been put on the wall.
Okay.
Obviously, the more dots they have on them, the more importance or the more weight I'm going to put on that when I make my recommendations to the Board of Trustees. As far as the operations go, your next, as I indicated in the trustee meeting, I think it was last time, I talked about the first thing that I want to talk about are the revenues, where we are now.
Yes.
What I reasonably believe the revenues are going to be for next year. And those are obviously something that are a moving target. I mean, but I'm pretty sure at this point, looking at past years, of the major revenue sources and where we're going to end up with. And so, I want to present that to you first so that you understand what size of pie plate that we are all playing with.
Right.
And then, if there's any disagreements or there's something that I'm not taking into account that the Board of Trustees is privy to, we can add that in or subtract that, depending on what it is, and move forward. Then we go with the operational budgets. So that would be the next thing, and that would be taking what everybody has recommended and putting that on a sheet, putting my recommendations on a sheet that will comply with what size supply plate that we've got.
Okay.
And that will be presented to the Board of Trustees at the next workshop. And that would be the time then that the board would look at that. If there are items that they would like to rob Peter to pay Paul, or whatever the case is, and ask specific questions of the directors per their departments, that would be the time to do that. And then after that, the next session, the last session, would be the session that we talk about the capital improvements and what we're looking at for capital. Now, obviously, those budgets are not going to be as rosy as you've seen in the past. I don't put it down unless we've got that revenue secured, but that does not mean that there won't be opportunities. So definitely, I think listing those things down as far as projects that are available if the funding is available, which would mean if we get a grant for it and if we can find the funding for it. Those will be addressed in there. And then there'll be some that we can't afford because we have funding to afford them, and those will be in there as well. But essentially your capital improvements, your capital projects, those things will be in the final one. And once we put all of that together, hopefully it will fit in the pie plate that includes all of the funds. And I'm going to have all the funds broken out. I'm going to have everything. You may go cross-eyed from reading all the line items, but you're going to have a breakdown of each one of those. If we're expecting, or if we have a grant already, let's say, for example, we already have funding from the school system. We had that question come up last time. We will have what we have left from the school system funding as one of the plus sources, or on the revenue side. We will have what we have left of the TAG grant. We will have what we have left of all of the different funding sources for all the different projects that we have, and each one of those are going to be listed by project.
Okay.
And that will also identify what we still need for those areas, because you're going to also have a corresponding expenditure side that's going to show you what the delta is. So you'll know what we're going to be spending our time on to try to accomplish, and that will be based upon your dots that are up on the wall there. So
Okay.
we put more effort and time into it. That also means we might put more matching money into the ones that have the more dots on them. So those are things that, that's why the prioritization of these projects are so important, because it's not just recommendations from me, but it's, if we have additional monies that become available or something, we get a new something store in town that we're anticipating by the end of the year is going to put more money into the system, then you now have an idea of, oh, maybe we can apply this towards the matching money so that we can get this project done, or however you feel it's necessary.
I know you've been spending a lot of time in our current budget. And do you feel like you have a fairly good sense of what the income's going to look like for the town for 2026? Do you feel like you have an understanding of that? Because I'm hearing that it's going to be incredibly difficult from the top all the way down. So I'm just curious how comfortable you are with what you currently see or anticipate for 2026.
With the information I've been given, and that's looking at 2023 on,
Okay.
and talking with DOLA, talking with some of the other agencies that are out there. I know we had a large discussion over one line item that was $74,000 that we budgeted, that we got 4 and some change. And that's what we should expect, because DOLA told me that they were looking at something like 98 million and they only got 4 million. So that's a toughie. And
Right.
so some of those funds are going to look like that. Your county sales tax, for whatever reason, is down this year. Your community sales tax
State of
is up.
Colorado took some of the county's bills. That's why. This is why it's so important that the county isn't coming and talking to us, because you would need to know that information in order for you to budget properly. But they don't come and talk to us.
Well, I did send them an email today telling them that our deadline for submitting a draft budget to the Board of Trustees is coming very, very soon. And I also copied DOLA with that. DOLA seems very interested in the communication that needs to occur between us. So definitely Patrick Rodnelli is a fantastic resource that I've
Yes.
discovered.
He is very
He's a
Yeah.
former manager. He understands both the local government side and the state government side, as well as dealing with counties. So he's been very useful and helpful in me understanding the outlook. But going back to your original question, I'm about 85% sure that this year is going to be tight. And I'll
Tight.
just leave it at
Yeah.
that, and I'll let you assign the, whatever description you want to assign
Yeah.
to it. But it is going to be tighter than it was last year. Two reasons. One, I'm not going to put speculative budgeting in. I've told you that
Very
before.
good.
And
Very
number
good.
two, we are looking at a shortfall with a couple of the major revenue sources.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the others are, and I'll go over each one of them. Right now, it's kind of a moot point without
Yeah.
everybody here
Everybody else,
listening
I
to
don't-
it. But definitely.
And that's not goal tonight.
No,
I know,
it's
I've
not.
tried to evaluate
No.
each one of them to see if there's something in there. I will tell you that from in my humble opinion, I believe that our savior is not going to be, oil and gas or the county giving us additional money or whatever. It's going to be developing our revenue
Yep.
in-house. We're going to have to grow our own, which is along the intersection's one of them. But remember that the other intersection isn't even in our city limits. Those people don't know that. So we're going to, again, talk about annexations and
Right,
recruitment.
right.
And so all of that's going to go hand in hand. So in addition to a lot of the annexations that we're seeing with Outdoorsy and some of these others coming before you, we have to also not forget, we got to take those roads in, the intersections into our, our corporate limits as well, because all of the properties that bound that are going to be the ones that create revenue for us in the future.
So the other question I have is, since we need to have our budget submitted to the state by October 15th, is that correct?
I believe, as Mr. Rodnelli told me, I need to have our draft submitted to you by that time period.
Okay,
I think
okay.
the submittal to the state occurs in December.
Okay.
But we do have to
I was gonna
have,
say.
we do have to have the budget submitted, a draft budget submitted to you, presented to you by the 15th, which is why I think what we're talking about, the workshop progression, will fit perfectly.
Yeah.
By the middle of October, we should all be very comfortable with what we got, barring something crazy happening. And, I think that we will be ready to submit our budget well within time of what the state of Colorado requires.
And just let me finish, there's a second part to that. If, by chance, the 1 cent park tax pass, and then also the lodger's tax, we need to designate where the lodger's tax is going to go. So this is going to happen after we've solidified our budget, if these pass? Yeah,
Okay, I've met with staff, and we have numbers on the revenue side for both of those line items for the revenue. So if that passes, you will see that we have what's projected to be revenue. Now, remember, that's just projected to achieve at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you can't just go ahead and, let's say we're looking at, I believe, 20,000 for the lodger's tax. So you've got to remember that you can reasonably assume that by mid-year, we may have 10,000 in it. You don't know what the pattern is, because
Right.
remember, it's not all the same percentage. In the winters, it slows down a little bit, so it's more of a bell-shaped revenue curve when you look at
Right.
stuff like that. Some of the other revenue sources, like, some of the other ones that we see, new businesses coming in, taxes, sales tax, those may not have the same one. In fact, when you look at a lot of places, their Christmas check goes way up. Durango's like this, by the way. Durango's got a really big Christmas check, which occurs, I think we see that in February, what you told me, February here. So, but we don't see that here. Because
Right.
we don't have that retail yet, but we will. So, but right now, I mean, I have to look at that as kind of being a flat or maybe a drop. at the end of the
Right.
year. Whereas maybe in 3 or 4 years, that's gonna start tweaking up toward the end, because people do buy Christmas presents at the end of the year. I think most people would prefer to just buy them in town. Hopefully they do it. We wouldn't spend their money here, but.
sure. Okay.
Kind of to go back to the question before, you made mention about a plan of how you're doing the meetings for the budgeting. Have dates been chosen that I don't know anything about? Okay, Just making sure, because I didn't know about tonight till yesterday. I just want to make sure I'm on the up and up on this.
And Trustee Boiler, we're trying to play it by ear. It's, you know, I've been told it's like herding cats. I think you just guys,
Oh,
all of you
yes.
are very
The cats
busy.
weren't obeying
Well,
tonight.
and you know, some have some family issues they've got to take care of, some have some business issues. And you are all very busy people, so that's why a workshop is probably a good format, because that doesn't preclude the other folks that aren't here from getting their priorities listed as well. We want to make sure we have input from each and every one of you, because that's really important. You all have your own constituents, and they all tell you what they feel is important. And so I think each and every one of you need to have the opportunity to at least express your interest in what you feel are the biggest priorities here. So,
So I feel like, you know, another ponderance I have is with the master park plan. Obviously, if we pass that tax ballot initiative, that,
Some things.
well, yeah, it does, but not right away either. I mean, it's gonna take time to accumulate. So even though we say it's a priority, we respect and understand that it probably won't get addressed next year. Maybe the year after that.
Depends on how many, like, grants you could get.
if I know I have a
Yeah.
revenue source that I can either match or bond or whatever, if you
Yeah.
have a revenue source that you know is coming in, you can then use that to get grants.
Right,
If you
right.
want to bond something or
Yeah.
whatever, as long as you've got a reliable revenue source coming in, that can be used as a match. That could also
Educate,
help you
educate,
get an
educate.
engineering, you know,
Yeah.
a grant to do the engineering to start with, and then that would help further getting another grant for the construction project.
Yeah.
Similar to what we're looking at with the east intersection.
Well, I'm thinking about dotting up my preferences, or what I think is, right, what I want to do. So the park is really important to me, but that's based on the tax bill initiative passing, and then, you know, it's not going to drop down, but, you know, there's other priorities that really need a lot of attention. So I agree with you, 10 is not enough.
No, it
I know.
isn't. I'm like,
10 is not enough. I need 20.
I'm like, well, I like to like take enough and go, like, to me, my highest priority, and I would put 3 of them. And the next down,
Yes,
I'd put 2.
exactly.
And the next down, I'd put 1.
Yeah.
But I don't have enough stickers to do.
I know.
They're not here, so you can use their.
Yeah.
Well, actually, what I was thinking is.
Yeah, who didn't show, we want their, actually, there's 2 sets of stickers sitting over there. We'll get Lori's and we'll get Matt's.
So I believe that what you're,
6?
and I kind of go back to and I believe it was trustee Katsos that asked this question originally. We were kind of on different pages, because I was thinking past this when using stuff you had already done. But just because we don't have stickers on something doesn't mean
It
it's not
goes
still
away.
a priority.
Well, I
I,
think,
you know, I put a pin in it. If I find some money,
I'm
I'll
gonna
bring
be
it back to you
honest.
guys and say, hey, guess what I found?
I don't think any of this should go away. I
Right,
think
right.
that this is to identify what's most important to us. Which is why the 3 stickers and 2 stickers and 1 would be important to me, because then I can prioritize my own choices. But yeah, I think everything should stay. I don't think it should go away.
Right. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything listed here or in the list that I have that is not important.
Right.
Right.
And they'll all go into that report. So
Yeah.
they're all going to be memorialized in that report, that they came up as important items.
Okay.
Just because they don't have a bunch of dots on them doesn't mean that.
Or even 1 dot on it.
Yeah, or even
because-
1 dot,
yeah,
doesn't mean
I
that
mean-
it's not something that, again, I
'Cause
look
with
back to
2
a
dots, it's
skate
not
park
up.
that I had that didn't have any dots on it. Because
Right,
magically something
well,
dropped in my lap, and it became one of the best success stories that we had. It would-
And those kind of things will happen, you know? I mean, like, you're not gonna sit there and say, yes, these projects are all priority, but say we don't put anything under the economic development of Bayfield. That doesn't mean you're not gonna concentrate on the economic development of Bayfield, because the east intersection is part of the economic development of Bayfield. That whole concept.
Okay.
Oh, are we making a new one over there in the corner, or do we forget?
That's water,
Oh, yeah.
secondary water.
So
resource.
we're an hour in.
Yeah.
Should we, are you ready to button up?
Yeah, I'm ready to put my stickers out.
Can we grab those stickers over there?
Actually, I was sitting there thinking.
Remember those?
Maybe talk for a second about
Yeah.
where we put the stickers, because we obviously don't need to put any on the
No.
stormwater. I wouldn't put any on the town website, the
No.
fire mitigation, or the community communications, there's 3. Park plan has 2. Workforce housing has 1.
I
I
do,
want workforce housing. That's one
Yeah.
of my big ones.
I know, but I also feel like fire mitigation and water-wise drought, looking ahead with that stuff is really important.
I think also that can be done with, like, as a 3. Like, we're doing good. One of my tops is. You just said
Right.
You said you needed more.
The park.
So what I'm thinking is.
Where I'm at, we're good.
Okay, it is really good. 3.
I just recommend
We could get the park plan infrastructure,
Quit jumping lanes, Mark.
get workforce housing updated,
Hey,
and then put the
make me,
rest.
what do you
on
call it?
fire
I'll come help your
Got it.
one guy.
Got it.
I'll show
I
him
will
how
go-
it's done.
I'm gonna go with the skeleton crew we're hiring.
We'll wheel and deal over here. I'll raise you too.
He won't give me that.
I will give you a taser.
People will walk
It
in
would caution
straight
you when
line
you walk
around
out here,
when
be
I
careful,
get
don't
done.
trip on the
Give me a taser.
So, Brenna,
Yeah.
next year, invest in one of those bingo dot things.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
Get a bingo dot.
We've already,
bingo.
been like, I'll raise you two and.
Brenda's spending all her money on.
You gotta make sure we have 8 for your water. I have 3 in all. Oh, goodness.
That one's got chicken bucks.
So.
It can't. O doesn't have 16, B has 16. B has 16, or, O does not have a 16. Because it goes 1 through 16, 17 through 32, 33.
What's he talking about? Well, yeah, but not in 100 years.
No, what numbers 1 through 16 are in B? 17 through 32 are in I. 33 through 38 is in F. That's what we're. The foreman like to play foreman games. If I can win a free beer, yeah, be a big daddy's in there.